Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live chat. This video may be a shorter one compared to the others. Nevertheless, it's just as important, if not more, as it's an update regarding the search for Dylan Rounds, okay? As we do go along, you can share your thoughts, opinions and reactions in the live chat. Before we continue, just to take in mind, if you didn't watch my previous video, which was talking about the recent drama, if you want to call it, within the Dylan Rounds community, between like Candice Cooley, Ty, Lance and Nose, just getting an idea of where things are at, make sure to watch that after this video. There will be a link down below in the comment section. Also, later on in this video, I'll be talking about a new theory regarding the dodgy accounts and all these waves of resistance, because there is another motive behind it. And it kind of reminds me of what one of the dodgy individuals said previously. So make sure to stick around for that. Also, as we go into this, I'll share with you some photos so we can get an idea of possible locations, because, you know, boots on ground type, it's kind of different to if you used to look at it on the maps. So, you know, maybe we can do a comparison down the line and map it out properly, right? So I think we should start with a brief backstory. So basically, there's a Facebook post by Candice Cooley regarding Equisearch. They've come in now to help and assist. Who are Equisearch? Well, I believe they're a search and rescue or some kind of that type of group and organisation. I'm sure they were based elsewhere, or there's like two different ones. I believe there's maybe one in Texas and then maybe one in Utah. So yeah. Beforehand, you had the likes of Duty Ron, who was talking about the drone and raising money, and maybe other people raised money as well. So there was enough money then to be able to afford the full spectral drone, which cost $14,000+. Then Equisearch was given that drone, I believe, and then Equisearch passed on that drone to Candice Cooley, and then Heavy D, Diesel Brothers were able to pilot it, captured images, as many as possible, and then using different filters, then they would be sent back to Equisearch, and then they would like analyze it, run it through some software or program to detect any soil disturbance. I believe that's the correct order, correct me if I'm wrong. And now Equisearch have actually come in themselves. I don't know if this is what Candice Cooley was talking about in that previous interview of Doug's about the big push before winter. Could be a possibility. Let's just go onto the Facebook page and read the official post of what Candice Cooley has said. So here you go, Candice Cooley from 14 hours ago. It says, "Thank you Midwest Equisearch for crossing the country to come help us find Dylan. I know a lot of you have been waiting for our next move, and this is it. We have spent the last 10 days putting this plan into place and organising our resources. We are giving it our all to bring Dylan home. We will update on how the week goes." So the way this has been worded by Candice, this seemed like the big push when she's talking about it's been in preparation, been waiting for the next move to come. And yeah, this is probably it. It does make me think, what happens if it wasn't successful? Like, do they try again? I'm not too sure. But the way it's worded here, there seems to be some form of certainty, you know, giving it our all to bring Dylan home. I don't know if Equisearch have come in now because of the drone. You know, it's kind of been quiet regarding that, from at least my point of view. We saw Heavy D operating it. You had a brief look at some images, I think, but nothing was said. I don't know how long they used the drone for. I don't know how many photos they took. I don't know all the locations they covered, if it was the wash as well and the dirt mound. Maybe they did find something. Maybe this is why this plan is going ahead. Equisearch are coming in now because they've analysed the photos and it's like, this is the location we need to look at. Or they might have a handful of them if there's been numerous soil disturbances. I guess time will tell eventually. Now there is some photos below, and I can show you them more zoomed in now. Right, so here are the photos. I can zoom in as well in a second. I don't know what order they follow. I'm not sure if they're taken by Candice or even Equisearch, or maybe it's in the process of meeting up with Equisearch, or maybe this is the location they're searching in. There wasn't much of a description provided, okay? So for now, it's just up to interpretation. As well, if any of you know these locations, or if you've seen these locations before in other people's hike videos and search ones, feel free to say you have in the chat. And if you can, feel free to provide coordinates if you want to, because it could help. One thing to acknowledge, I guess Candice probably might not reveal too much in the process, because she said that she doesn't want general public searches coming in at the moment, because it'll possibly ruin evidence and mess up things. You know, it's kind of one of those situations again, as we heard back then. But let's just look at these photos for now. So ground level, you look at the ground itself, pretty dry, right? It's cracked, like a drought almost. You can see track marks, most likely caused by, in the next photo and the photo after that, okay? Either it's most likely looking back the way they came. So I don't know what's in the distance over that way, so I'm not quite sure where it is. I think someone on Facebook tried mapping it out, but Candice Cooley said, no, you're wrong, there's many washes out there, but she didn't reply and give the exact answer of which one it was. Once again, it kind of makes sense, you know, if they're out there investigating, they don't want other people coming in at the moment. So that's probably why you might get some kind of radio silence until there's a breakthrough, I guess. You look at the two sides of the walls quite high up. Is this the wash? You know, as I'm saying, I've not seen on-ground footage because I don't have time to look at all the videos. You know, I know Tynelands went to a wash. I assume it's the one near the waterhole, the one north of the grain shed. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's just with it bending and winding. And bear in mind that, you know, with the weather there and how it's been for some time, it's been dry. And with the wash supposedly being for drainage, it doesn't hold water. So a time like this, you could drive on through. So if this is the wash, which I'm not sure it is, then it makes sense to why they're driving through. Now, I don't know, like, where they're exactly looking or what could be available. Got some footprints there. Can you see? Only one footprint, though, I guess. I don't know what size that is. Bear in mind, I'm not taking these in a suspicious way. These are caused by the people that took the photos, most likely, right? I just wanted to point it out to you just to show you what it looks like, because even though the ground is dry, it still leaves footprints, indentations, as you see on the left-hand side there. So there is still marks that can be revealed. Now, on the side of these walls, possibility Dylan could have been concealed there. I saw an interesting comment recently. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We can transition on to the next photo, I guess. There we go. It's inside the vehicle. Let's just compare. Okay, so this is, I think that, if I'm correct in saying. Is it? It's just when you look at it up that way. So on the right-hand side, it bends inwards on the right, and on the left, it's further out. It looks like it up close. So, it seems as if they've drove up that way to get to here, maybe, and then someone's got out the car and walked all the way back, as you can see by the footprints, coming all the way down, coming round here, then to look up that way and take a photo. I assume that's the correct, action. So, what? The Equisearch, Candice Cooley, is going that way, over that way. I'm not sure what direction that is. And that's them inside of the vehicle, getting closer. Possibly. I mean, it looks like a wash. It's quite deep though, isn't it? But, you know, I guess that is a possibility at times. The only reason why I'm a little bit, when I say cautious, I don't mean cautious in suspicious, I just mean in how I describe this location, just because when I was covering the Kenny Veach case, he had these very narrow, winding canyons, like Picture Canyon. A bit more extreme that because it was an actual canyon, and you know, the mountains and the rocks were much taller and higher, but I don't want to get confused between different structures and environments from previous experiences and encounters, okay? So I'm only roughly talking when we go through this, right? What's this image of? So it gets very narrow here compared to back here. Back here, it's very wide. Now, is this the start or the end of the potential wash? That's what I'm thinking. Because when you look, I can do Google Earth maps shortly, right? But on Google Earth Maps, it does get narrow in between, and then it spreads out at the end and towards the start too, near the waterhole and also further east. So that could explain that. Either this is the start point or the end point, maybe. And maybe they're driving all the way down to the end point. This could be what they're trying to do. Possibility. Bear in mind, I'm sure there'll be some people in the chat that might know and keep saying, why you keep saying this, why you keep saying that. It's like, well, pre-recorded video, okay? So I can confirm it or acknowledge people's corrections in the live chat though, okay? So what vehicle is this? Is that a Ram? I'm not quite sure, I can't tell. Are they tyre marks on the side? I'm not too sure. Doesn't seem to be any tyre marks in the distance, so they must be going in that direction, right? And the tyre marks are left behind the way they came. So the photos are in order, I guess. Maybe she did it in reverse, uploading them. See how very narrow it is? It does look like a wash, definitely. You see the rocks as well. I'll just mention it on the spot. Let's just say Dylan was thrown into the wash and there's no water. It's like, well, what's the point of that? You're going to bury him in the ground? Wouldn't really make much sense, would it? I guess. If you've got rocks and the water, the flow of it coming downstream, coming down the wash, it could, I don't know, cause disturbance to the ground. It could erode it. It could move it along. There's a certain force, possibly. It could disturb where Dylan has been buried. I might be wrong, but I just feel like that could happen. Now, if there's not been any water since, it's like, well, that probably doesn't really impact it much. Now, to tie back to the rock walls, which one individual said, I can't remember who it was exactly. Was it someone called Paige? Was it someone beginning with an L? Lacey? I don't know, I'm probably coming out with random names now. But one individual did mention that on the side of the wall here, for example, of a wash, I'm not sure which one she was exactly referring to, but said that they can be easily dug into, I guess. And then you could put someone in, like dig a hole out and then put someone in, fill it back up. I mean, that could be a possibility. You know, if you've had water and it's dampened the area, it can cause erosion, it weakens the rock or weakens the dirt, whatever it may be on the sides. Possibility. Though, when you look at the height of some of these walls, I don't know if Brenner would climb up. Probably not. It'd be too much hard work for him, unless he had help, which is always a possibility. There could be someone else out there. You look at Chase Venstra, he seems to have an alibi, but just basing it off his age, he's 41. Now, I didn't know how old he was before. Most of the others are like 50 plus, so you wouldn't expect them to do too much physical activity when disposing of Dylan, let's just say. But if you got someone like Venstra, 41 years old, and there was another individual out there unknown of same age, they could be more likely to be more physical because they're younger, right? That's just the way I see it. if anyone was inside of those walls, would it be easy to detect when using the drone? Because the drone, you're looking straight down at the ground, and if it's on a side of a wall that's angled, maybe it wouldn't really matter, right? But if there was water, could it brush away the sides though? I mean, there's a possibility that if this is a wash, let's say, it with time it could get wider and wider, maybe. It is like a regular flow of water. Now, because there isn't, due to the environment and temperature, the process probably will take much, much longer. Though, when one individual, who they're called now, I forgot who they were that, shared it. Oh, it was Julie. Julie, the individual that's not been seen of for a long time within the Dylan Rounds community. Don't know where they've gone, but Julie at the time shared like a video from YouTube of some guy, I think it might have been in Utah or it might have been elsewhere, recording the wash as like a big, thick, heavy flow of dirty water was coming down the wash. You saw the twigs and branches collecting. It didn't even look like liquid, it looked like a solid, but it was moving fast and it had quite a bit of force. So an occurrence like that could alter the environment itself or things that are within it. You've always got to take that into mind. So, as said, if any of you know about this location here, if you've seen it before in a video, in real life, whatever it may be, feel free to comment down below. What we'll do now is go over to Google Earth just to try and understand these multiple washes, all right? Lucin, here we are on Google Earth. So as we're hovering around, I will try and look for the washes, kind of roughly. I'm not an expert with these because I've not focused on the wash too much. Now, obviously, the whole grain shed discussion has been the main focus point, where Candice said, this is where it happened, this is where it all started, etc., etc. But the transition onto the wash as well. So I'm assuming that in the mind of Candice, whether she knows it or that's what she thinks, depending, I guess, where the evidence sways, I can imagine that possibility that Dylan may have been hurt or taken out at a grain shed. There was evidence found there to suggest, who knows what that could be. I've seen the odd comment referring to the hole in the grain shed, that it was dug up or something because there was body fluids present. I mean, you never know. Slight possibility behind that. I don't know where it was exactly heard from, but we've got to acknowledge it anyway because there was a hole in the ground. Who knows who dug it up or what was actually there aside from fluids. So yeah, that could have been where it happened, and then the wash could have been the place where Dylan might have been taken to. It's just trying to understand how he would be disposed of in a dry wash. That's what I'm trying to understand. If you know, or if you have your own thoughts regarding how Dylan would have been disposed of in the wash, feel free to let me know in the chat or in the comment section as well, right? So, from my memory, or at least my knowledge, when I look at this area, providing I'm looking north, here we are, zoom out so I'm not too confused, there we go. So I've always been looking into something like grid square, if you want to call it that. And it's been that brown shaped thing that's always caught my eye. And in the past, I had no clue what it was. But with time and with, videos and coverage, it seems to be the wash. Now, is it the wash? Not exactly. It's a wash. Because from what Candice Cooley has said, there's many out there. And I'm sure other people and viewers will say, oh, no shit. But, it's just trying to understand, because if you're not from this area or you're looking at this map for the first time, you might not know what is what and the quantity of them, okay? So there's no harm. If people suddenly come in and see maybe Ty or Lance's video about the wash, this one supposedly, or Candice Cooley talking about the wash, because that's how it's been worded in interviews, I guess, people might just assume there's only one, right? So there's no harm in just talking it through slowly. Now, as a little reference point, just a very brief one, okay? We zoom out. I don't want to zoom out too much or I'll probably end up getting lost. But it was in Arizona. Where is Arizona? Down here, okay? Can't remember exactly where it was. It was near, it don't really matter. It was Mojave County, okay? And there was different washes, several of them. And that 6'3", 230-pound guy was found in it. Now, a few people whinged and whined, saying, "Oh, why are you applying this to Dylan?" And I said, well, I'm not exactly or directly applying it to Dylan. I'm just literally looking at another individual that's been found. I mean, I can imagine next time I do a video of a banana peel, someone will say, "Oh my God, I've been offended. That banana peel reminded me of the PTSD situation where my friend died slipping on a banana peel." And it's like, okay. And someone else will say, "Why are you doing a video of an orange? Why is that, why are you linking it to Dylan Rounds?" And it's like, it's not even titled Dylan Rounds. What the hell are you on about? So weird behaviour by some. But it sprung up the idea in my head at that point. When I heard about a 6'3" individual weighing 230 pounds being in a wash and probably being swept away downstream, if you want to call it that, then someone like Dylan, who's 5'10", 160 pounds roughly, probably less with time, could have easily been swept away. That was obviously before I heard about it being very dry out there, but it caught my attention at that moment. That's, the event of where I started focusing on different areas, right? And it'll probably vary for other people as well. Wow. I actually found this area a little bit quicker compared to in the past. That's a first. Okay. As you know, when I used to do the maps at the start, I'd use all the markers and stuff because I'd get completely lost on the maps. When you look at it from here, it is kind of confusing. It's like almost like a jigsaw, right? Some areas look very similar, and all the rocks and the patterns, makes you a little bit dizzy when you look at it. But yeah, the wash, this one. Now, as you can see, it is narrow, right? You can let me know in the chat, in the comment section, if this wash here are of the photos taken in the Facebook post, what I just showed you earlier in this video. Are those photos from this area or somewhere down or up this wash? Feel free to let me know. Now, from where they took the photos, it did look pretty wide, didn't it? I'm looking here. It kind of looks wide, right, from a certain angle. It's got the bend, it's got the rocks sticking out on the side. You remember the very first image I showed you. So maybe, I'm not an expert, obviously. Is there a possibility it's somewhere around here? I guess the interesting thing is, and I don't know if it's entirely true, but can you see track marks already? I don't know if they truly are, but they look like track marks in a way, right down the middle of the wash. Bear in mind, this is 2019 imagery. So it makes me think, who and why would they go down the wash? Is it a normal thing to drive down a wash? I don't know personally. If you know, leave your thoughts down below. Is it a normal thing to do? And in this situation, who do you think would be responsible? You got to take in mind, this is a ghost town. In more recent time, with all the track marks, that can be more understandable because it's either from search and rescue, the LE, random hikers and explorers, the parents, friends, family, that type of stuff. There's a bit more volume of people now, mainly because of the event of Dylan going missing. But before that, with less people being present, it's like, who's responsible? Now, this part of the wash somewhere, yes, the mob crew did found track marks in the past with the drone footage. Talked to Candice. Candice cleared it up and said that was search and rescue using their own little piece of machinery, some kind of equipment. Okay, fine. But supposedly there are other track marks which may be linked with Dylan's vehicle. I don't know where they are exactly. The location has not been revealed. I'm not surprised, nor am I expecting it, because if they want to preserve it or they need to look at it carefully, you don't want other people coming in interfering, right? Even if people have good intentions, you know, at this point in the case where it's kind of unstable, there's all kinds of uncertainty, you've got the weather changing and the seasons approaching, it's like, well, you know, you got to just try and do the best you can with little mistakes made, right? So yeah, you got the wash here, and when you look at it, it's quite wide, it does bend in and out, so it makes me to believe that those Facebook photos are of inside a wash. Now the actual height of them, you can't quite see, can you, because of the depth. It doesn't have that 3D aspect, you know. If it was like mountains, you'd see the sheer, you know, difference in size and how it lowers down in elevation, but this is looking down from aerial view, so it's not quite possible. So with that in mind, is there any other washes? Well, I didn't think it was one. Maybe you already knew, but I'll share it with you. What one individual said was the one down here. This one. Now, it doesn't look like a wash to me. It doesn't even seem to have any depth, so you can correct it. I'm not saying this area is a wash, but there was one person on like Facebook page on Find Dylan Rounds that said and highlighted this area here, which was originally where the final phone ping was found before we heard about the pond situation, and someone did an oval highlighting this area saying, oh, is this the place you're talking about regarding the wash? And I could only see like a couple of Candice Cooley's responses, and maybe she might have said something else, but I don't have a Facebook account, so I couldn't check the full conversation. But from what I briefly saw, Candice Cooley said, no, this isn't the one. There are many washes out there. So from that response, she's not denying it. She's not saying this isn't a wash. She didn't respond directly to that. She just said there's many washes out there. So is this a wash or not? It doesn't look as deep. It doesn't look like one personally, but you never know. If it is a wash, it doesn't look like the one that was where they took the photos. It's not got the same shape to it, in my opinion. Now, from when I seen the wash previously, I assumed that it started from here, the wash. What's that if we zoom in? There seems to be like a few structures, like a wall. I don't know if it truly is. Maybe it's like for drainage, possibly, to hold the water in. I'm not too sure. There's a bit of a gradient, it will travel down, right? Now you've got all these like patterns that go off, which aren't always pathways. You know, in the past I said, oh, is that a pathway? Turned out it wasn't. It was a wash, it was a stream, it was a spring, it was a river. You know, the different possibilities. You got like the root effect where it branches out, it looks like roots, but they're not. You know, you could say, is that a wash there, the way it winds in and out? I mean, can you get different sized washes? Can you get a big deep wash and then a shallow wash? Or does it get to a certain point where if it's too small, it's no longer a wash, it's a spring or it's a river? I'm not quite sure because I'm not an expert when it comes to that type of stuff, right? Whoa, what we got here? We got some weird pixels and glitchiness. What is going on? That is dodgy. Damn. Not encountered that before. Like, if you zoom in close enough, you start seeing things like whether it's like trees, roots, or posts. It's hard to tell, right? But yeah, that main wash seems to stand out. Now, do you think it's worth possibly trying maybe another I can what should I do? I wonder if I should type in wash itself. I just can't really see any other washes personally. It's hard to tell. I don't want to get mixed up with pathways, dirt roads. Like, is this a wash? Like next to that dirt road. It kind of looks like it with the patterns. Is it a wash? This here? I'm not too sure. It might look completely different on ground level, but it looks like it joins up to one another, right? Connects, comes down. And it's narrow as well. So it could be. So that's what I mean by there could be, you know, from what Candice said, there's other washes out there. The way she's wording it, it might well be there's a wash we've not looked at before, and that could be where the search is taking place when looking at Dylan. Who knows, right? When Ty and Lance went to one of the washes, could be this one here, this one near the grain shed. They didn't find anything at the time. I don't know if they came across track marks. Bear in mind, I can't watch all videos, as I said. So, yeah. Right, now, what I just want to do very quickly, Lucin wash. Will it actually work or not? Oh, God, wash and dryer. No. Sand wash. I assume that's not what it actually is. No, that looks like a name of a road near Devil's Playground. Is there any photos of it? Doesn't look like it. What the hell was that white mark? It says sand wash. I don't know if that's the name of the actual wash itself or it's the name of a road that turns off that way. I'm not quite sure. Interesting. That's a shame. Ravine. A ravine. Okay. So you get these different key names for certain sites. There you go. You got that pond again, as we're referring to. We'll just briefly touch upon it on the spot now. Bear in mind, there are several ponds within Lucin, quite a few spreading eastwards, okay? As for which ones have been searched, Dylan's farm, his pond there, was looked at, nothing found. Well, nothing too important. They did find the pressure washer collected down there, which is a bit odd. As for Lucin Pond, near the wash, as we referred to back there, near to the waterhole, Lucin Pond is where the phone was found, dumped in, and that was all. But I don't think any other ponds have been searched. And when you look east, as I said, you get many more. And I think there's some as well in Montello. More big holes filled with water. I think they might be water holes or like a lake, I'm not too sure. Or a pond. But, you know, maybe Dylan was taken here or to a place like this. I'm only saying maybe because stop saying maybe. Candice Cooley could now have a better idea, but she hasn't shared it publicly. And it kind of makes sense to why she hasn't. Things are ongoing. So in the meantime, other people who are just watching videos, trying to catch up on the case, all they can do is just like come up with ideas and think in between. There's no harm in that, right? Just take that in mind. Do a quick look at Montello. Luray wash. Oh, hold on. Is this an actual wash or not? I'm not quite sure. It's near the railway tracks. Oh, actual photos. Right, this is great. I didn't think photos were going to show up, but this is really, really good, right? So I'm not saying this is the location where Dylan is at, but you get the idea of what a wash looks like both before and after water has, been present. And it's kind of hard to imagine, right? Especially this image, the erosion, the severity of it. I don't know, has this been fixed since, or is it no longer in use? This is Montello from the looks of it. If Ty Corbin is watching right now, or anyone else from Montello, have you seen this photo before? Was this in the news at some point? Is it an abandoned railway track? Has it been fixed since or not? Let's just have a quick look at the photo. 2017. So it's not like a long time ago, but there's still time in between for it to have been fixed. Now, when you look at it like that, it's, was it a bridge? There's a big chunk that's eroded away from the looks of it, right? Wow. The railway tracks look in decent condition in some areas. There seems to be like a few more holes and cracks forming there. It's actually breaking away from the actual ground, and it's just dark below it. Damn. But the actual tracks look in decent condition, right? There, it does look a bit messy up that way. Maybe it is abandoned. It's hard to tell, because, even like in the UK where there's been heavy rainfall and then part of the land has washed away, the tracks are still remaining up, suspended, and it needs to be repaired, a makeshift bridge, And it kind of reminds me of this image, and this one's probably a bit more extreme, to be honest. And I guess the only reason why it's all held together is because, the planks, the board, the actual metal work, and that's about it. Anything drove over that, no. No, I don't know if it would even hold a human there. But looking at the water flow, look how violent it is. It's foaming, it's swishing and swaying. And obviously it's one of those things where we're on the bends. I think it's on is it the outside or the inside bend where the flow is the most fastest, and you've got the corkscrew motion as well of water as it clashes with the side of the rocks, side of the wall, which causes it to erode away with time. You've got the hard rock, the soft rock, limestone, different types, right? Limestone will erode quicker, I think. So I don't know how far this wash is. It's from the looks of it. Which way is it going down? Is it going downstream? It looks like it drops lower down there because you can see all the water, what would you call it? Reverberating, echoing back. As it laps and it does like a wave as it drops down and splashes up. And then it carries on down here because the flow of the water down here looks a little bit calmer, more stable. But up this point, it's a bit more rapid, right? And you can see the side of the rock wall. Look at it, absolute destruction. So you got the force of water that can cause something like this. Holes in rock, bloody railway tracks dangling in between. If it can cause that, then especially in this environment where it is dry and it doesn't rain too often, and that can be caused, then just imagine if Dylan was buried in the wash. Do you think it would be successful? Do you think Dylan would last? I'm not too sure. Now, I don't think it has rained since, so there's no disturbance. Makes you think, if it does rain at some point, could it cause it? Now, just very quick on the spot, if anyone knows, because I have briefly heard it. Remember the whole on a Sunday when Saturday or I think it was a Sunday, when Don and Jim supposedly went out on the farm looking for Dylan, but there was never any footprints. But then when Candice Cooley went out, he was lighter, not as heavy, left footprints. So it was presumed that Don and Jim were lying. So you remember that event? But there was also talks about it raining at the time or shortly afterwards, which either impacted track marks, footprints, or vice versa. I'm not quite sure, but there was talks about it raining then. Is that true? Or is that yet another lie? Make sure to reply back to that if you have an answer, or just share your thoughts. And in addition to that, as a follow-on question, if it did rain around that time Dylan disappeared, or just shortly afterwards, or even from then till now, regardless, if it rained in between the 28th of May up to now in October, if it has rained in that area, would it have caused the wash to fill up with the velocity and violence of an example of this amount of water with that flow? Has there been enough water to cause that in a wash or not? You know what I'm saying? Very interesting. Do we have any other images? Yes, we do. Okay. I hope this is still in Montello, right? Well, it should be. we've got a different time of the season. So although this is 2017, you know, it's kind of fitting for the time now. Now, from what Ty Corbin said, if I'm correct in saying, from my recollection of last night, although it has been snowing in Montello, mainly Bald Eagle Mountain, and it might be more preserved there due to the elevation, it'd be more cold, if I'm correct in saying. Ty Corbin did say it has stopped snowing, but you know, with winter approaching, it'll probably snow more. You got an example of here of how it can look, even when it's cold. You see the flow of the water. Where's the railway tracks? It must be further down, I guess. But look at that. Look at the water. You know, if you looked at this photo, you probably think, oh, where's this? You know, you probably wouldn't think Montello, right? You probably wouldn't think Nevada just because of the way it looks visually at the time. Yeah, interesting. You look down there, it looks like there was a road or there was a pathway or something, and it's like been cut off, possibly. Wow, so it's pretty rough. There you go, that's another angle of it. Now, as you can see, whether it's in use or not, there was some kind of makeshift bridge for the railway tracks. Can you see those wooden posts, the poles underneath, upholding it? So you probably would have had many more of them going all the way across, more reinforced. But because it's not on actual land and it's only poles, you know, with that heavy flow of water coming downstream and on a bend as well where it's much faster, the flow, as it hits against those poles, you know, over time it'll either, you know, wear it away, cause wood rot, possibly, even with the force of the water, you know, if it's eventually been weakened, and that flow of the water crashes against it, it will eventually push it. And when it falls off, it'll fall into the water, right? And then you're kind of screwed and it's very unsafe and unstable. So if anyone knows about this train track, whether it was an actual incident in recent time or not, feel free to let me know, or if it's been cleared up since. Now, the other interesting thing to look at, now, this is filled up, so I don't know what the actual depth is like. But when you look at it from here, it doesn't look that deep. Now, I know it could be deep, but just visually trying to interpret it on the spot, right? Trying to compare it to the previous wash, what we saw in Lucin, which looked deeper, okay? I mean, you know, you look at the height of that rock. You see all the layers of it and the colouring. I don't know how high the water has gone up to at a point in time. But look at that, it's just a complete mess. Completely exposed. Yeah, damn, yeah. Okay, so that's pretty extreme. So you look at the closest bit here, that looks like either a trail to walk on or for maybe vehicles or an ATV to drive along. But then there's a massive gap there and a big drop. Then it connects onto the next piece, track marks, and then there's a massive drop there, and then it connects on. So it does look like with time it has just completely eroded away. So if something like that can cause that much damage, then if Dylan isn't awash, then it makes it even more critical than ever to get a hold of him, right? If he is there, you know, you got to investigate as soon as possible before it does fill up with water, unless it's already happened. I don't know. That's why I issued the question earlier. Okay, so we've got some other interesting images there. Is that of the train track or not? I don't know. It looks like the train track, and then by the side of it, it's flooded, and the water looks like it's flooding over the tracks. I might be wrong. It just looks like it, because it's on like a ridge. Do you know when you look at it over this way, how it's raised? Let me know if that's the train tracks, because it looks like it's flooded. There's a lot of water. That's what I mean. It's hard to believe. You know, you see the area, it's dry most of the time. It just looks hard to live in. You know, you need all the water to survive out there. And then suddenly you see an image like this and you think, damn, it looks as if when it rains, it really does rain. And, you know, it's happened like with the UK on a smaller scale. You know, for a couple of weeks, if it's been really warm and hot, I hate hot weather. You want the storm to come, you want the water to come. It finally does, and it rains non-stop for like a day or two. The amount of rain that causes the flooding is quite a bit. So if you apply it to somewhere within the US, which is more extreme, which lasts longer, hotter temperatures, and then if the rain eventually does come and is quite heavy, and for a couple of days it lasts for, yeah, it's going to cause something like that. Oh, wow. Damn, look at that. Look at that image. So, yeah, that is the railway tracks. It was right what I was saying. And it's surrounded by all the water. Now, bear in mind, the railway tracks, they are built a bit higher up from the ground level, as you've seen in Tyne Lances when they've been going across the railroad when looking for Dylan. You see the rocks as it builds up. It's on like a slant, right? And then the railway tracks are on top of that. I guess it's done for numerous reasons, but one of them could be maybe rainfall as well. But you look in this case, you know, the water is covering the tracks. And as it comes down here, I don't know if that's eroded away. There's a chance it could have. And the water drops down in this area. You see the depth of it now. There's a fair depth to it. So that could be one of the washes, how it could appear in Lucin. So now we're getting an idea of the depth with water flowing inside. It's very foamy. It could also be snow and ice collecting. But, you know, you just see the impact of the water. It's there, yeah. And then the rocks as well. I mean, it's not the case because there was no water at the time, but if, let's just say Dylan was chucked into the wash, if there was water filled in and there was a flow too, you know, with all these loose rocks, as you can see, gathering at the bottom, if Dylan was swept along, he could have hit his head on one of the rocks and that would have been pretty fatal, right? I assume that's ice. It looks like ice. It's all collected on the railway track. Damn, that's a lot of ice. Very chunky, as you can see. You know, you can let me know your thoughts. Are you surprised by these images, especially if you're not from the area? You know, if you've just seen all the footage of the searches for Dylan, you know, you're used to a certain environment, colour tone and everything. So does this change your perspective of the area? Now, I don't know from what angle this is at because I'm not an expert, but am I correct in saying over there is Tacoma Road? Am I correct in saying over that way, over that mountain is Lucin? Correct me if I'm wrong. It just looks like it from this angle. I do feel like I probably am wrong, but it just looks kind of similar to what I've seen on the maps. Just correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So you see it. You got these like streams, like the way they bend round the, you know, almost like an island effect, and then eventually joins on or connects further down. It's very cold out there, right? You get both extremes. 1 minute it's very dry, next minute it's very wet. Most of the time it's very warm, and then it's very cool all of a sudden, I guess. Interesting. Then there you go. Is that Pilot Peak up that way? It could be. It looks like it, yeah. Yeah, that does look like basically the border, the mountain border between Utah and Montello, Nevada. I'm sure. Because you've got that spine going all the way down. So somewhere up here you've got Bald Eagle Mountain, and then further down you've got Pilot Peak, and I'm sure it might be that one. It's one of the highest ones. I mean, you got the one down that way as well, but I don't know how tall it gets because the clouds are covering it. But it's quite fitting and coincidental timing looking at this image, because this is how it's going to look when winter comes, supposedly. You know, you'd think. There you go, that's another image. I don't know if this was taken with a drone or not, but, you know, they've got some good shots, right? Got big chunks of ice too. There you go, that's another angle of how it looks. Very unstable, those tracks. Don't know if it's been repaired since. This is 2017 imagery, so you never know. Few holes in the ground showing. Oh, is that it? Okay, fair enough. So wow, that was interesting. That, do we have any others? Okay, so whilst we're looking at that, is there any imagery of it separating though? Because when you look at it though, it seems to connect, doesn't it? The whole railway track, there's no separation in between. So maybe it has been fixed 2019 onwards. Correct me if I'm wrong. So because we were looking here, Luray Wash, which way can I flip the image to see where we were actually at? It's probably hard to tell, right? Oh, Bodiger Mountain. Yes, I think I was looking in the correct direction, possibly. Because I noticed that lump here, that's what we saw in that photo when I said, is that Lucin over in that direction? As for Tacoma Road, I don't know if I can find that on the spot. Tacoma Road is here. This is Tacoma Road. The one where Chase Venstra was supposedly caught down here, catching for a ride. And that big lump there, what we saw over that way where that railway track was. So yeah, Luray Wash, the photo taken. Lucin is over that way. Lucin Airport. So yes, wow. So with the usage of maps, constantly looking at them, and whilst people can say that, well, it's different when you're actually there, you know, the real boots on ground footage, you know, but look, I was able to pinpoint it out on the spot, blindly on the spot. Damn. That's pretty good, that. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Because things can look very different at times, right? Okay. And it does look like you've got a wash here. The shaping of it, the outline, as it bends and twists and turns. So, yeah, okay, understandably, there probably is different washes. Now, bear in mind, this is in Nevada. It's in Nevada. Though this wash, this one here, you know, the brown one. Look. Where's the Utah border gone? Look, the Utah border is just about here. And this wash does kind of branch over to it. I think it ends at this spot, though. But technically speaking, this end part of the wash is on the Utah Lucin side. So, you know, interesting. Got to take that in mind when you get these washes. So I think the characteristics, what we need to be looking out for, and, you know, people might say, oh, don't be so silly. But, you know, to people that are interested in looking for these washes, key characteristics are possibly look for brown patches, okay? There seem to be long and windy, twists and turns, you know, in and out with bends, right? You know, that type of characteristics as what we've looked at. Right, so we've got Luray Wash. Is there any other known ones? How about Sand Wash? We couldn't get any pictures on that, and that's near Devil's Playground. Any images? No, there isn't. That's a shame. Oh well, at least we were able to get at least one picture up, right? So I wasn't expecting to see those photos, but they were interesting to look at and very, very relevant and quite important in this discussion video. Tying it on with Candice Cooley and those images, compare and contrasted. The idea that Candice believes the track marks and that Dylan could be at the wash. I've got the Equisearch coming in. Leave your thoughts down below to what you think of this big push, right? Do you think it'll be a success? How long do you think it will take? Do you think anything will be revealed publicly, or will it be quiet for some time? Who knows, because, you know, all kinds of things seem to go on within this case, right? So now, let's move on to the next topic in this video, and it's to do with that theory, right? Regarding the fake dodgy accounts. Before I get into it, regarding last night, there were some dodgy accounts, not impersonation ones, but just dodgy accounts, right? But it's the timing, it's unfortunate timing, okay? So whilst the live premiere was underway, Ty Corbin showed up, which was a surprise. I think it's the first time he has shown up in one of my live premieres. No, it might be the second time, because I think the very first time is when I was looking at Wendover for the first time. He showed up too and was like, he was saying something, and I was confused at the time because I wasn't sure if it was really him. But ever since his profile, he started uploading videos to his channel, so that's good. It gives, you know, a different point of view, at least back then when Tyne lands have been exploring, right? But it's a bit more, just, it's easier to detect who is who because he's the one with the footage, he's the one out there recording as well, aside with Lance, and now he's uploading it to his channel, which is good. And it also, it's just easier to determine who is who. Now, this is the thing, I'm going to say it again. If you're viewing someone's live stream and you see a comment from someone, positive or negative, you can't click on the drop-down box next to their username to view their profile. Only the channel who's hosting the live stream, uploading the video premiere, has the option to click on the drop-down box and then view the profile of that message in the chat. It's stupid. I don't know why it's done like that. I can understand like options such as kicking someone, muting someone, blocking, timeout and all that. Because if everyone had access to it, then it'd be a disaster. That's why you got a channel member, not channel member, you got the channel itself and you got the mods, right? You know, that they have the authority. But in terms of simply viewing someone's profile, you should be able to do that in the live chat. Anyone should. I mean, it would make it so much easier, right? You know, if you saw a fake account of someone and you were kind of unsure to whether who it was, you wasn't too sure if it's the real individual or a fake. It's a shame you can't click on their profile and then it takes you to their page. And then obviously you would see they've got 0 subscribers, they've joined in 2022 and they've got 0 videos, then you know it's not actually them. With Ty Corbin, I just tested it again yesterday, clicked on his profile just to make sure it was actually him, came up with all his videos, what he's been uploading, and some like personal messages as well, is one of his shorts, and it's like, yep, this is him, that's good. You know, just that confirmation on the spot without having to start second guessing and then going on to other places asking and then doubting. It's very messy, right? But that aside, yes, when Ty Corbin was in the chat, the live video premiere chat last night, shortly afterwards, Salty Pancakes appeared out of nowhere. And, you know, when I've come across him in the past, when he's joined, he's been like, hello, hi, oh, nice video, oh, lol, what's going on? He's been in an okay mood. But I guess other things have been going on in recent time on other channels and all that messy stuff. I've kind of stayed out of it, right? Salty Pancakes comes in last night when Ty Corbin is present. You know, it's kind of, oh yeah, here we go. And then obviously there's accusations and claims made. You know, Salty Pancakes saying Ty Corbin staged the break-in of the house and this and that. And it's like, oh, here we go again, causing more issues. And shortly after that, when Salty Pancakes joined, a couple of fake accounts appeared out of nowhere. It's unfortunate timing, isn't it? When an individual comes along, starts acting in somewhat of a negative way, and then these fake accounts come on, acting in a negative way as well. Now, as said, it's always been one of those things, and Julie was one of the first ones to bring it up. You never know who is watching your videos at the time. Like, good example I can give. When I've done all my videos, Sleeper Cell Jen, never heard of in the past, did all my videos, he never appeared. But then the one time I did a video, you know, kind of clearing the misinformation, clearing all the confusion up, so he knew, or they knew, that I've never bashed them or never even knew them in the beginning, right? The title of that video never mentioned anything about his username, but on that one video, he decided to show up when it was partially about him, clearing things up, right? So it's as if people are constantly watching your videos, just watching along just to see what's being talked about, you know, because what other way do people have things set up so whenever their name is mentioned, they'll be notified, so then they go onto that stream or video just to listen in? I'm not too sure. Like, I didn't know Ty Corbin was going to show up in my live video. I didn't know Salty Pancakes was going to show up. You know, my videos aren't like, right, tonight I'm doing a panel, I'm doing some kind of interview. Oh, come along. You know, where it's kind of planned, where there's like a promo behind it with JT, and in the past, SP, Salty Pancakes, they would have done a community post, they would have done a short upcoming video saying, hey, look, we've got this guest on tonight, we've got this person coming on, make sure to be there. People are notified, aren't they, of who's going to show up. In my videos, though, anyone can show up at any time. It's kind of mysterious, right? So for Ty Corbin to come in, maybe he was just browsing on YouTube at the time, noticed my video because it was titled, or the thumbnail included Lance. He probably thought, I wonder what's going on here. Let's check on it just to see what things are like. But then I don't know how Salty Pancakes knew Ty Corbin was in the chat for Pancakes to come on over, unless Pancakes was already watching in the background. You see what I'm saying? Like, are there secret informants within the chat that say, oh, look, Raf's uploading a video right now and this person's in the chat. I best go onto Salty Pancakes channel and inform him, or I best go on someone else's channel and inform them to come on over. Just trying to understand that concept, right? Could be a bit sneaky at times. Now, as for my opinion towards Ty Corbin, as said, no allegiances like where you bow down and pray, oh, bless you, no, just basic respect. They're out there searching, they've done well and they're continuing, they're doing well. As for Ty Corbin himself, the way I've described him in the past, you know, when I was questioning everyone with balance, I was like, you know, Ty Corbin, can you trust him? Resident of Montello, could he keep his mouth shut? Is he covering for someone? Is he a bit dodgy? That's literally what I said back then. And with time, Ty Corbin didn't turn nasty, you know what I'm saying? He didn't start saying, excuse me, oh, slander, or this, that, or start, you know, coming at me with a negative force. He just, you know, stuck to what he was doing, exploring and this and that. And that maybe at one point he did leave a comment, but it wasn't really anything negative. There wasn't any resistance. If there was resistance, I wouldn't have complained, because if I described him somewhat negatively when questioning and trying to maintain balance, you know, you expect a response, but he didn't. I've not really experienced a negative backlash from Ty, so I don't have a negative opinion of him at this moment in time. Does that make sense? He seems okay. Now, some people might suddenly start thinking, oh, you're bowing down to this individual, because those people like to come in as well. No, I'm not bowing down to anyone, okay? I'm doing these videos, got my own style, sticking to that, see what happens next. Try and stay away from some of the dodginess going on, try and stay away from some of the craziness going on, because from the looks of it, the Shack Lady experienced some kind of, I guess, problems going on their channel. You look at their channel now, you look at their videos, they all seem to have been removed. I don't know if they've been deleted or set to private, but they're no longer present there. People seem to be obsessing about her subscriber count going down. So I guess some things that might have backfired with the spam as well, I think it's probably put her off, because, you know, she has uploaded videos in the past, but she suddenly made her presence when it came to the Dylan Rounds case. So with it being short term, I guess, there's a chance if there's negativity faced, you might just suddenly back off quick. But if you've been around for a long time on YouTube, technically I've been around on YouTube from 2013 onwards, right? So with that in mind, you know, if things have happened in between, I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? If I just suddenly set up my channel to cover Dylan Rounds and I had all these toxic individuals, because the community is a little bit toxic and unstable at times, I could have been like, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I'm going to run away. But, you know, the channel's been around. It's been through the Kenny Veach case, all that drama, all that chaos, came out on the other side. Same with the Dylan Rounds case eventually, right? So, yeah, all kinds of things going on there. Now, if we're trying to specifically talk about the new theory regarding the fake accounts, what I'm talking about is I really wouldn't be surprised if it's a vigilante group who are doing it in the name of Candice Cooley, unaware to her, supporting her, trying to make as many active searchers, mainly online ones and investigators and people covering it in terms of the media, to push them away, to get them, to scare them off. I think that's the tactic. You know, you always get hard-line, die-hard supporters, whether it be a football club, maybe a celebrity, maybe a YouTube channel, maybe a Twitch streamer. You'll always get that very loyal group of people. Sometimes it's a bit too extreme, right? And they will do anything and everything to either protect that individual they look up to, which could result in attacking others. You know, you would have seen it on YouTube, also on Twitch, where a certain streamer, content creator will have a certain audience and say to them, right, all of you need to spam this name, spam that message over onto that channel, go now. And then all the minions go on over, spam, 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 and get that other channel shut down because of going against TOS or bad messages, which then create a bad impression on the streamer who's minding their own business. Kind of like a raid, right? That can happen on YouTube as well. So if you've got people on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page and you've got certain members on there, or you've got friends of friends who are on YouTube, there might be some kind of communication going on behind the scenes to set up, what would you call it? I don't know what you'd call it actually. Crowd control. Almost like a form of crowd control, a deterrence. Certain cells, certain groups of people communicate with one another and are like, right, we're doing this in the name of Candice Cooley. We're doing this to protect her. We're doing this because we respect Candice Cooley and the Rounds family. So we'll do whatever it takes to scare off, to intimidate, to push outsiders away from it because they are clogging up the case. They are the disease. They need to be cleansed. That is what could be going on in those people's minds. And if they're fanatics, if they're very obsessive, if they are very determined, they will do whatever it takes and continue on. And I think that's the process, what we have seen with the fake accounts, the impersonation accounts, trying to say bad things, do negative stuff on other channels to then give the original person who's been impersonated a bad name so their channel gets shut down with time, right? Those attempts have been made. But to counteract those, reaching out to certain content creators, emailing them and simply saying, hey, that's not me, it's a fake account, it's happened regularly now, just be on the lookout, and then they've been aware. So that's how you counteract that. But obviously, you know, humans can get desperate with these fake things and, you know, these like raids going on. So that's the way I see it. What does Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds think of it? Like, okay, they've probably heard about the drama on YouTube, but have they seen the true extent, right? I'm sure someone like Candice Cooley doesn't approve of YouTubers exploiting the case, exaggerating the case, and purposely spreading misinformation. I'm sure that annoys her. But does she agree that there's certain individuals out there stooping to a new low to then do bad actions to counteract those people spreading the misinformation and exploiting the case? You've got to look at it like that. And how did this idea all come about? Well, basically, when I came across one individual called Tucker, okay? Tucker has a red profile picture of a flower, I think. And which video was this on? I think it might have been on one of the, it was on Troll Mafia, I think it was, Troll Mafia account, when they uploaded the video exposing Jim Terry as supposedly, from what they said, a con man, right? Exploiting families. And there was a fake account in there of me, obviously. I left a comment on the channel saying, hey, if you do see it, it's not me, it's a fake one, like I've said on all the other channels, right? But then people started responding back saying, yeah, stop the bullshit, we know it's you. Well, obviously they're going to say that because they're possibly the ones responsible for all of this, or they support it, right? And that can be reinforced because when Tucker appeared and said, oh yeah, whatever, sure, I asked him, what's your problem? And his problem was the whole misinformation with Lance, with Kurt Wadsworth grooming Dylan. I was simply relaying what Lance said back then with Heavy D in that mine. But Tucker didn't approve of it. It said it ruined my channel. He didn't approve of it. He wanted my video taken down. You know, he actually wanted me to delete that video because it was an insult, supposedly, to Dylan. And it's like, well, it's not really insulting Dylan. Moreover, it's insulting Kurt Wadsworth if he didn't do something, which he's been accused of. I'm not defending Kurt, but you see what I'm saying. So I don't know how it impacts Dylan in a negative way. So Tucker got very whingy and whiny, right? So when I asked him the next question, because randomly he asked what my IQ was. Like, so this person doesn't like me. This person seems to have it in for me. And then they randomly say, by the way, what's your IQ? I did respond. My IQ at this moment in time is 116, okay? I don't know why he asked. He didn't give his. Might be a reason for it. But basically, after that, I just asked the next question saying, so what's your thoughts on these impersonation accounts, these fake accounts going on, spreading slander, negativity, and all of that? Not exactly good, is it? And he basically replied with, well, actually, they are quite good and are very necessary at times to deal with problems. They can be used for the greater of good. So basically, to interpret what he said, he's under the impression that these fake accounts, which could dox someone, which could harm someone's life, which could give someone a bad name and then ruin their channel, delete their channel, get reported. They think that's a good thing with these fake accounts coming in, because these fake accounts are supposedly vigilante groups used to push back a more negative force, which is supposedly the YouTubers, the content creators, disrespecting the Dylan Rounds case, being very corrupt, exploiting it, spreading misinformation. So that's why Tucker came up with that point. Now, why would it impact me? Well, if Tucker is under the impression that I've spread misinformation, which I haven't, right? I've relayed certain information at times and then cleared it up down the line, which I've clearly done, and I've done several times. Candice Cooley case really demonstrates it, okay? But if people don't watch along, if people don't watch the latest videos and only watch the previous ones, then you don't get the full picture. But linking back, Tucker at the time, probably still now because he's obsessed with me, under the impression that I've caused misinformation, I'm seen as the problem, I need to be removed. So the group out there that creates these fake accounts makes me look bad and it leads to negative consequences down the line. I'm the one that pays the price, supposedly speaking. Tucker is satisfied. You see that order? But obviously, I'm caught up in it all because I've maintained balance. I've looked at everything and everyone, both in a positive and a negative way. I've not pledged allegiance, so I'm not really picking sides. So then that means I'm in the center of it all. Most of the time I'm misunderstood, just like in other situations, anywhere and everywhere, Mr. Misunderstood. That's my nickname, right? So you receive flack from all different angles and at different points in times. That's why some people will hate you and detest you, and then down the line finally understand you and then like you, and then other people will like you at the start, be all nicey, kissy, huggy, and then down the line, then they detest you. So it kind of switches and changes with time, just like the microcosm of all the information switching and changing within the Dylan Rounds case. So the only question I have for those individuals that have a problem with me, let's say it's to do with misinformation, right? Let's say that's the driving factor behind it all. Shh. Okay, just sit still for a second, if that's even possible. My response would be, well, if you've got a problem with me, then that must mean you've got a problem with the LE. It must mean you've got a problem with Candice Cooley. Candice Cooley, despite all the stress she is under, technically speaking, she has spread misinformation with switching and changing of info. Sure, you can say, well, it's because she's stressed, she's going through a lot, so she's not going to be on point all the time. Yes, that's understandable, but you can't take away the fact that she has spread misinformation at times. So when YouTubers or other people on different platforms, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Reddit, wherever it may be, may hear information from Candice, relay it on, post it somewhere, and then down the line, once it turns out to be misinformation, the person that spreaded it is the one to blame and is classified as the villain. But what about the person that started it, the beginner, the source, Candice Cooley? But she gets a free pass because, you know, she's the victim in all of it. You know, you see how it can be interpreted? Things can take a very nasty turn at any point, right? So I guess we'll see what happens. But yes, this is the new Therian concept that summarized with the fake accounts, the attacks, the raids, all kinds of dodgy activity going on within the community, very toxic humans. It's all because they're doing it for Candice Cooley. That's a possibility. That's the motive. Candice Cooley may not be aware of it. She may not approve of it, but she hasn't said anything. So you see how it's going? We've seen these situations many times in the past where celebrities might think, well, why are all those fans going out and attacking and, you know, standing up for me? I don't need representatives. I appreciate what you're doing, but just calm down. That's like how it all goes eventually. Now, just imagine if there was a darker reason, whether it be Candice Cooley, a Rounds family member, a Cooley family member, or people on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page who are approved and accepted to join. What happens if there's some kind of like little dark bashing group going on? Because you remember, we've got to take in mind there's been some things that have gone on in the past and you can't dismiss them, right? It's worth just taking into mind. One individual, I forgot their name, Southern Girl or something, or Southern something, they lost a child, I believe, their daughter, and it was a bad event. Obviously it would be. They reached out to Candice Cooley on Facebook, sympathising with her, relating because of a similar experience, sharing one's thoughts and prayers, and Candice Cooley blocked her. Is that normal? Not really. Jim Terry trying to, you know, step in at some point in the past to help. Candice Cooley rejected him. You're fired. Pushed back. The LE, whether they're good or bad, came in. Candice Cooley pushed them away. General public coming in, helping, pushed them back at one point because then she relied back on the LE, right? Lance and Ty doing their thing, mainly Ty with a recent discussion. Candice Cooley bashes him. How dare you do that? You know what I'm saying? And then at one point there was a report by someone that Candice Cooley set up some kind of hate campaign or bashing campaign to do with Jim Terry or somebody else in the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page. You know, whether it be mocking, whether it be grouping all together with the pitchforks, certain behaviour like that and certain attitudes could be applied to what's going on now with these fake accounts and all this bashing and false accusations going on. Either it be because it's them themselves or they've got other contacts or other people that relate to them with similar behaviour. You know, sometimes you might, you know, if you're like a very dodgy person, if you're like a drug dealer, you might have other drug dealers you know of, like contacts and stuff, because you match with them through personality and certain behaviour patterns. If you maybe a very athletic person or you've got lots of muscle, you might have other friends who've got a lot of muscle because you're kind of got the same ideas and mindset, you know, weights, working out, putting in the work. You know what I'm saying? So if you've got like a bashing mentality or an obsessive mind, you might relate to other people like that. And if there's people within the Dylan Brown's case, if not closer within, there could be something going on. So that's just a theory, but you never know, right? So I think we'll leave it there, right? It's a longer video than expected because I didn't expect to come across those images earlier with the wash, but still very important. Share your thoughts down below about that, and also share your thoughts down below about this theory about the negativity and resistance and darkness within the case, right? That's it for now. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Good night and goodbye.